Welcome to Coach Soul, the podcast where we explore therapeutic ways to the best versions of ourselves. I'm your host, Steve Hudgins. I'm a licensed professional counselor dedicated to helping you navigate life's challenges. In each uplifting episode, we'll discuss mental health, relationships, self-care, emotional well-being, and personal growth, providing you with valuable insights and actionable tips to thrive. Join me and with my co-host, Evelyn, a therapeutic life coach, where sometimes we'll even welcome special guests to our show that share their experience and expertise. Whether you're looking to improve your relationships or find greater joy, you're in the right place. So let's embark on this transformative path together and discover a healthier and happier you. All right, Kenya, it is our launch was launched. And, with launches comes growing pains like a child, and I don't know about you, but sometimes when I have pain, Tylenol helps.
Okay, I can talk about pain all day long. I am not a medicine kind of person. I resist taking meds. I see pain as a source of information, a source of, hey, take a look at this. As a matter of fact, this week, my daughter asked me, Mom, if you could have any superpower, what would you have? And I'm thinking, girl, I have some superpowers. You just don't know it. I did tell her, I wish I could fly. Like actually fly. I asked, what about you? And she said, I wish to not feel pain. I wish I would do my ice skating and I would fall. If I would fall, I would have no pain. I wish I would be talking with my brothers, and if they're mean to me, I don't feel pain. And I got to a deep conversation with her about, no, pain hurts. It's not
Yes.
pleasant. It's not pleasant, but if you take the pain out and let's say you fall and you scrape your knee, now you have blood everywhere and you don't feel pain, you cannot take care of it. If you choose to see pain as a part of your holistic self, and it's here to let you know, hey, could you please put attention over here? There is growth for you. There's a mirror for you. There is a next level for you. And of course, this all come with maturity. She's 9 years old, right?
Sure.
So in all my relationships, when I feel triggered, when I feel triggered within myself, man, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I said that. I see the invitation to send love to that part of you, to that part of me. And it's usually the inner child being revisited, asking to be seen, asking to be loved, asking to reconnect, asking to feel safe, Steve.
You know what's interesting, though, is the fact that as kids, we fall down, scrape a knee. Yeah, we think we're dying at that moment because it hurts. We haven't experienced that kind of level of pain. But I believe how we are raised, our environment, our culture, our parental figures, our guardians, we become conditioned to their style of pain, of how they were adapt to pain.
100%.
So to me, pain is a learned behavior. Now, yes, it's easy to go to the doc and say, I broke my arm, I'm in pain, let's fix it. So they give you the meds, they give you a cast, and it starts to mend. But when it comes down to emotional pain, wounds can heal on the flesh and bone.
Yes.
But when it comes to emotional pain, it's challenging to say, oh, are we going to ever be healed from that? Yes. I think that sometimes we are triggered and we can have those episodes of pain triggers. But if we are maturing in our thought processes and being able to adapt and understand, 2 years ago when I nearly died in the hospital, I was thinking of Psalms 23. How morbid is that, right? Doing my own funeral, sort of, so to speak. Though I walk through the valley of shadow and death, right? I realize that though I walk through the valley of shadow and death, my valley is as long as I make it. When I refuse pain, to accept the situation, mask the situation, my valley will be there.
Correct.
But when I process through pain, accept the awareness of where I am, and choose to react in a different way, my valley becomes shorter.
Correct.
So help our listeners to try to figure out, it's easy for me to sit here and say, this is my experience. This is what I've gone through. Do I have sometimes some triggers? I do, but I'm not reacting to it the way that I used to as a child. How can you? I mean, you're a frequency therapy, transformational coach.
Yes, a frequency, the resonance therapy, frequency alchemist, all the things. Yes. And here's what I invite our beautiful listeners and viewers to be at. You don't need to attach yourself to the pain. And yes, everything comes with awareness and maturity. And what in that moment of pain, emotional pain, physical pain, spiritual pain, growing pains. Hello, kids in the middle of the night, growing pains. It's all growing pains. And if I choose to buffle down, to stop the pain, and I don't completely see what's going on, I will be revisited with the same pain. I just want to say that to our listeners over and over again. Pain is a messenger. Would you kill a messenger? Hey, I have a letter for you. Stop it. Okay, somebody else will come back, and the pain is telling you something. And from my perspective, from a frequency perspective, is information. Hey, something over here is not fully healed. Something over here needs to be upgraded. Some codes needs to be redefined. Some things that are unconscious is coming to conscious. And when it comes to conscious, now you have a choice. I want to make this very clear, because when we're in the middle of the pain, we're in survival mode. And we're not like, ooh, do I choose? You usually will not feel like it's a choice. And I want to remind you that love is always a choice. Accepting is always a choice. And it's also a habit and a train. And we need to make another podcast on habits, training, behaviors, and addictions. Because what I felt in my own life, are you ready for this? And this is why I believe the coaches still work so much, not just because of the feminine and masculine, but because you and I were not afraid to be vulnerable and say, this is where I have been. This is how I learn, not just in my practice with my people, but in my own life, in my own pain, my own overcoming. And I was addicted to pain, not to painkillers, to pain. Almost like suffering was who I was, generational pain. My mother suffered, my grandmother suffered. It's just what happens when you become a woman. You just suffer and you just endure. And if your back hurts, it's okay, because my mom's back hurt and my grandmother's back hurt and their hips hurt. So you grow up hearing those pain and you think that is normal. When you become an adult, you have pain. When you have childbirth, you're going to have pain. And I did, but I didn't. With my third child, I actually did not have pain, and it was natural. I felt pressure, but I have the video to prove. I will not post it. It's private. But when my girl came into this world, it felt like a worship center, my room. I was like, thank you, Jesus, she's here, and all the things. But it was my third. I was trusting my body. I was trusting my alignment with God. I was trusting working with that life within me. I say that because on our everyday lives, when we feel pain, notice What's happening here? Is it physical? Is it emotional? Because even if your knee is hurting, it could be unforgiveness.
That's interesting because, when I think about hearing what you're saying as pain, when I was researching and looking into support services, Brock was on the podcast talking about his vulnerability and his pain that he went through. And as I'm looking in our city, resources in Oklahoma, there's very few resources for men. But there's a plenty for women.
Interesting.
And one of the things that we forget too is that men also have pain.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But I think a lot of times we mask that pain through our masculinity that sometimes can be toxic, because it's that inner child hurt wound that speaks out the most, and not from the authenticity of who we are in the inside. So I find it fascinating is women will say, well, I went to work, I did the kids, I did this, I went to work with a fever and I did all this, but here he is, just a sniffle, and he's in bed and he's complaining, and it's like, and I'm like, but what if he's just feeling miserable and it doesn't want to seem weak as he's truly in pain?
I believe that what you're raising, the subject you're raising right now, is so needed. I'm watching my teenagers going through it right now. I am Latino. I love touching them. I love hugging. And if I hear and if I see my boys with sniffles or scrapes from sliding on baseball, immediately I'm like, hey, essential oils. Hey, let's put castor oil. You told me that. It was an amazing tip.
Yeah. And
all the things. And my boy was like, hey, mom, I don't need that. I'm a man. I'm like, not under my watch, son. I don't know where you got this information, but delete. You will be taken care of as a child, as a teen, as a male, or as a female. I think we need to open up. I know we need to open up awareness of a human being, a holistic human being. And you are 100% right. Even coaches, right? I'm a coach, I'm a mentor. Usually I would say I'm a coach for women. And at the same time, I have incredible male clients. And I am just sitting here and say, okay, God, what's next for me? Because I actually just want to serve where is needed. And man, right now, in this moment, is being the pendulum swing all the way on the other side. And it's like they became this invisible force that, let me tell you something, when the man is strong, the woman is stronger, and vice versa. But you've got to take a look at both. The pendulum cannot just swing to, the women over here, all the emotional support, spiritual support, mentoring support, motherhood support, and the man cannot even raise his hand and speak his needs vulnerable because he is seen as weak.
But Kenya, I mean, that goes against societal principles of what's happening.
That's great, because that's what we're doing. We're not going towards society. We're going towards truth.
Right.
The human soul needs support. It needs to be seen.
That's what helps get rid of this toxicity.
Correct.
Toxicity comes from too much pain. When our bodies become toxic, that's what happened to me 2 years ago when I nearly died. I had 3 different types of bacteria that were attacking me. They didn't know where. The name was the doctors call me an enigma. But at the same time, they learned what was attacking me. It took 3 days to figure that out.
Wow.
They finally put the antibiotics in. They were trying to get me healthy back again because my organs were starting to shut down.
So I want to come back to the word that you said, toxic.
Yes.
Because in the body will show up as a bacteria. But what about emotional toxicity? Spiritual
and that's from pain.
Toxicity. It's all pain. It's never just the physical body.
Right.
You have in order to get your physical body, listeners, I want you to get this. When you have a symptom in your body, You had to go through all the layers of your body, the unseen layers, the emotional body, the aura body, the spiritual body. So when it gets to be in your manifested in your physical reality, you just know that there's more to be seen. So what comes up to you when I say that? What were you going through when you were in the hospital? How are you being as a person?
It was frightening. Only because, Sunday was my last meal. I go on Monday, had to go to the ER. Tuesday morning at 1:30, I wake up and they call a code, 12 people, and I'm out for 4 hours. And I don't wake up until I wake up in ICU and I'm like confused, not sure how I get here.
Mm-hmm.
But toxic tends to put you in that zone of unawareness sometimes, confusion.
Before going to the hospital, were you feeling separation? Were you feeling love? Were you feeling, what were you feeling?
Oh my gosh.
Do you remember what was the energy of your life?
My energy of the life at that time was a little bit of stress, but not too much because I'm in doctoral school and trying to get this done.
Sure.
The growing pain that I was dealing with my own work and trying to get that established. Mm-hmm. But not much,
Interesting.
But other than that, it was a found bacteria. But that's the thing. When we have pain, oftentimes people will go to workaholism to stay away from it because their spouse is in pain. So I'm going to stay away.
Numb. It's a numbing mechanism.
Right. And so they'll turn to substance abuse like alcohol and drugs to mask that pain. It's not the alcohol. It's not the drugs. It's not that causes them to be addicted. It's the euphoric experience that gets them to be addicted. And sometimes one thing is not as powerful enough to mask their pain.
Well, I love that you said that because many people that was addicted to alcohol migrate to food.
Oh, yes.
So it's acceptable. Or sexual addictions or binge-watching addiction. Like addiction is an addiction. The difference is you can actually put your bottle down, but you can't really put food down. It's more acceptable.
What I find interesting is that we can avoid pain because we feel uncomfortable because of things of unknown. It's interesting because this past Thursday, I was teaching at Roger State University, is where I'm as an adjunct professor. The director of the program came and spoke with me, and she wants me to do a class on addictions. And I'm thinking of myself, I'm a clinician. I'm working in the doctorates in family and marriage, and addiction's part of that. And so when we think of the word addiction, we think of the worst of the worst. But oftentimes, like you said, you're addicted to your own pain. I think a lot of times we get addicted to self-loathing.
Addiction is sneaky. Addiction is sneaky.
It is.
I don't believe truly after working with hundreds of people, possibly thousands. I don't know how many people watch what I do. I have never met someone completely clean from addiction.
Mm-hmm.
You're addicted to the past, addicted to tell your stories, addicted of perception. Like my perception is right, addicted to being right. You're wrong. I'm always right. Protection mechanism. And addiction is a protection mechanism.
Say that again.
Addiction is a protection mechanism.
How?
Well,
how is that?
If I eat a ton of food and I get overweight, you probably won't be attracted to me. So I'm protecting myself. If I don't eat a ton of food, if I just eat sugar, I feel good. I create that dopamine, that endorphin, and then it goes right back. When it crashes, it goes all back on I can believe I did this, self-loathing, oh my gosh, which I'm sure that did not start with person A. It started with person before them. They have seen the habitual, the frequency I don't coach energy, right? I help the person to shift the energy. The energy is there, whether you are conscious or unconscious. If they're conscious behaviors or unconscious, conscious pattern or unconscious, it's all part of the addiction of the frequency taking over for protection, feeling safe. I am safe with the known. I'm always, as a human being, we're always feeling safer with the known, even if the known is abuse. So you're actually addicted to abuse. Sorry, not sorry. Just awareness. Just look around you.
Trauma bonding is the same thing as an addiction.
Trauma bonding. Trauma bonding is the addiction to abuse. My trauma addicted to your trauma because the abuser needs what? What is the frequency of the abuser? Needs somebody to abuse.
Correct.
So he's not going to marry an alpha. That's not going to happen.
Or she.
She's not going to marry. Let's do it again. She it needs the contracts, the magnetism, the positive and the negative.
Correct.
So it's not conscious. So everybody take a big deep breath, because I'm feeling here. I have chills all over. Okay, Kenya, I see it. Now what? Now what, Steve? Look at your life in neutrality. Just observe. See it as an observer. And just watch what the previous version of you have created. I'll say it again. What's in your life right now is not what you're creating in this moment. Isn't it beautiful? Who you are in this moment, you're creating tomorrow. You're going to see it tomorrow. You're creating today. So no shame or blame. Just take account. What do you like in your house, in your life? Keep it. What you don't like it, raise your hand if you need help changing, shifting, transforming, embracing.
So I want to kind of give it an example so that listeners can kind of understand here.
Yes.
I'm working with a client who is addicted to money, spending.
Thank you. Yep. There you go.
And as he's talking and saying, this money is really, he's got the money and he spends, but he hides and fibs to his spouse that, hey, no, I didn't, but yes, he did. But it's Legos or tennis shoes is his addiction to being able to feel better about himself. So as we begin to process, I began to find out that his father was murdered. And, it was a beginning of his own pain to the voice and tone of his mother as he was growing up and the men that were in his life that were abusive. So now he's an adult and he is now, I'll just say, married to someone who's a alpha in the profession.
Okay.
And it's the tone when she comes home and speaks to him, triggers him. We were able to identify the stimulus to the splinter in his life that was causing him this addiction. I said, I want you to talk to your spouse about how you feel. He didn't want to do it. He was scared.
Of course he was. Yes.
And so as we worked through this and process, he finally was able to sit down and have that voice as I coached him how to have that voice.
Correct.
He still has the addiction, but it's not anywhere near. He says, I can talk to my wife and say, I asked permission. Can I buy something this expensive? Sure.
Yes. I love what you're saying, because an addiction does not happen overnight.
Oh, for sure.
So it's not going to go away overnight, but the decision is overnight, right? Once he decided, I will show up with courage and I will ask for accountability, because I'm sure that the relationship actually grows.
Right.
In depth, in trust, in love, in connection. When one is vulnerable to another, say, I cannot do this alone. It has become an addiction.
So one of the things that Kenya and I are trying to express, listeners, is that we recognize pain. We're human beings. We're not AI. We feel the pain, right? And what we're trying to help you is to identify this pain. Coached Soul was created in such a way to help you to be a better you.
Yes.
By recognizing that you're not alone. That here are two voices, a male and female perspective, to give you the tools and resources to help you to identify, hey, I don't have to live this way anymore. I don't have to feel trapped anymore. I don't have to feel stuck anymore, that there are ways. And so with that being said, think about Coach Soul as a community. Because we're creating a community of listeners, and we're going to continue to grow. There's some exciting things we want to bring to the table, but as growing pains, as it comes and exciting, it's going to take time to build. So we're excited about what's happening. Kenya, let's close this out in the next 2 or 3 minutes. Kind of give us some tools.
Yes.
I love what you said. Yeah.
I love what you said, that we're in growing pains, because what Steve is saying is that we are in this together. We're in this together.
Right.
Pain does not look like pain for everybody else. Pain looks different, right? For us, it's like we're here to increase our power, our visibility, so that the one that needs to hear us can actually find us. So we super appreciate everybody standing up for us. If you like this, share with your friends that can be part of our community as well. And here are the tools, right? As you sit back and watch what you have created, get to your heart. Can you be in neutrality? That is the number one. Or do you judge what you have created? I can't believe I did this. I can't believe this happened. I can't believe my relationship. I would start there. Ground yourself in neutrality, because only in neutral you can help yourself. If you're judging yourself, you cannot help yourself. If you're judging others, you cannot help your person, your mate, your kids, your coworker. So the first step is watch and say, wow, from a lens of everybody's doing their best, because conscious or unconscious they're doing what they know how. They're running a pattern. We're all running a pattern. Fortunately or unfortunately, here's the fortunate part. You get to choose which pattern you want to insert now. Conscious. But we all have been programmed by our parents, grandparents, society. So let's break the pattern. Let's choose wisely. And we are here for you as you see yourself as the amazing being that you are, perfectly made, created for, by and for a loving God. I love you so much. We love you so much.
Here's what I want to close out with, because I think it's very important for us to realize on the faith-based community.
Yes.
Okay. That when I think about in the passage of James, it talks about confess your sins to one another. I think sin is a God term. It is a God term. It's a judgmental term. But when I talk to my clients, I say it is about, let's change that term to confess our humanity. That's what we did. We talked about our humanity today. This way, we're on the same level.
Yes.
One's not stacked and trying to whatever. It's about learning that we all have the same type of, we got pain. Pain is pain. We just experience it from different viewpoints because of our personalities and uniqueness.
Yes.
So embrace your community. And here's the thing. I'm not saying go down the street and talk to a stranger. If it helps, okay, great. Talk to a therapist, talk to a coach. Yeah, we're strangers until you get to know us, and that helps too. But what I'm saying is that the other piece of it is be careful how you cast your information. Know where you're casting this information. So that's in a safe place and you get a positive feedback back. So until next time, take care and God bless.
God bless you too.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Coach Soul, where we aim to empower and uplift you on your journey toward personal growth and well-being to become a better you. Remember, as you navigate through life, you don't have to do it alone. We encourage you to reach out to professionals, seek support from loved ones, and prioritize your own well-being. Stay tuned for future episodes with Steve Hudgins, filled with valuable insights and actionable tips. You have the power to thrive, and with Coach Soul by your side, anything is possible. Until next time, take care, stay empowered, and keep shining your brightest light. For more information, contact Coach at coachedsoul.com.